I have a question. Have you ever had a big dream? Really lovely, wonderful big dream, and then done absolutely nothing about it?
So get some sleep and dream big dreams.
Hi, I'm Bella St. John, and in this episode of Success Redefined, I'm going to share with you a reason that has to do with the way your brain works and why that might be getting in the way of you achieving your dreams. Let's look at a video that has almost 2 million views from a channel called Olga Loyek. And apologies, Olga, if I mispronounced your name. And here's what I'd like you to know about her before we get into it.
My name is Olga. I study cognitive science and computation at the University of Pennsylvania. And after the last 4 years of studying how the human mind works, I think this is probably the most fascinating and most useful thing I learned about.
Cognitive science and computation at the University of Pennsylvania. 4 years studying how the human mind works. And this, she says, is the most useful thing that she learned. Now, I'm sharing it because I think it speaks directly to something that almost every coach and consultant and entrepreneur I've ever worked with has experienced. You know what you want to build, you have the vision, you've had the vision for a long time, and you love thinking about the vision, and somehow weeks or months pass, and the thing you most want to do is still sitting exactly where you've left it. And according to neuroscience, here's why that happens.
If you've ever planned something big and then done absolutely nothing about it, it is not because you're lazy. There's literally a neurological cycle happening in your brain. So procrastination researcher Tim Pitchell has spent decades studying why people don't do the things that they promise themselves to do.
So the study of the brain suggests that it's not a time management problem, but an emotion regulation problem. And for those of you who are into the likes of law of attraction and the work of Esther Hicks, etc., you'll relate to this as well. So this is important because most of the advice people receive about procrastination treats it as an organizational failure. Get a better system, use a better planner. Here the suggestion is to break your goals into smaller steps. And those things can help, but they don't address what's actually driving the behavior, which is that the brain is protecting you from a feeling it has decided is dangerous. Here's the mechanism.
Your brain creates something called an avoidance loop, where you're faced with a difficult task, it triggers a negative emotion, then you don't do that task, so you feel relief, and next time you're faced with something difficult, you again default to avoidance, because that's what triggers relief.
The avoidance loop, difficult task, negative emotion, avoidance, relief. And because that relief feels good, the brain files it as a success strategy and runs it again next time and again next time. And relief is wonderful for moving up the emotional scale. But here's the part I think that is most important for anyone who's serious about building something when you want to consider how the way the brain works is going to support you.
Every time you go through this avoidance loop, you are physically strengthening the neural pathway for procrastination. Because as we all know, what you repeat, you become. So the procrastination circuit gets faster, it becomes more of a default behavior for you, and your discipline circuit weakens like a muscle that you stopped using.
Every time you go through the loop, you physically strengthen the neural pathway for procrastination. The circuit gets faster, more automatic, more default. You get momentum on this. And the discipline circuit, the part that actually moves you toward what you want, weakens from disuse. And now don't get me wrong, I am so not a person who is in favor of action for action's sake. You'll find other videos from me about inspired action. But if you have so much momentum on procrastination, that's going to get in your way. And this is not a moral failing. It's not a character flaw. It's a neurological conditioning. It's momentum. The good news is that what conditioning creates, conditioning can undo, or not so much undo, but conditioning can create a new way of approaching it. And Olga's answer, drawn from 20 years of research, is this.
Well, the answer is embarrassingly simple. And the answer is, you have to just start. Just start. That's it. No need to finish it, no need to perform well. You just have to start the task for 5 to 10 minutes and not think about the outcome.
So just start. Not aim to finish, not aim to perform well. Just start for just 5 or 10 minutes without thinking about the outcome. And I'd like to stay on this for a moment longer because I think it's more radical than it sounds. Most high achievers, and that includes probably most people watching this, don't struggle with knowing what to do. They struggle with the actual beginning, or they struggle with the preparation because they want to be so prepared to make it perfect the first time. The moment of beginning is where the emotional brain fires and the avoidance loop kicks in. If you can get past that moment, even imperfectly, even briefly, you interrupt the cycle and begin building the opposite pathway instead. So here are 2 specific ways that avoidance disguises itself. And I see this coming up over and over and over again, not just with people that I work with, but every now and again with myself.
And this one gets everyone. It's the sneakiest one because you're not actually sitting on the couch. You are doing something. You're researching, you're reorganizing your desk, you're planning something, you're watching videos on YouTube about how to be more productive instead of actually doing the thing. Maybe you're even watching this video right now instead of working on your assignment or working on your new project.
Productive procrastination. This is the one that catches the most ambitious people because it feels like progress. You are busy, you are doing things, you're learning, you're planning, you're preparing, you're optimizing, and none of it is the thing. And here Olga gives a perfect example.
And instead of starting a business that you've dreamt of starting for years, you read 10 books on how to start a business. So you feel like you're making some progress, but the actual scary task that you actually have to do hasn't moved an inch.
10 books on how to start a business instead of starting the business. I've sat across from people who've read so many books, taken so many courses, done so many assessments, and still haven't made the first call or written the first page or sent the first email. The preparation is real, the learning is real. But the avoidance underneath is also real. I've mentioned in other videos, and my clients have heard this, it doesn't matter if you've built a better mousetrap. The world will not beat a path to your door unless you take action, unless you let them know that you've built a better mousetrap and where to find you. And this is the piece that I think reframes everything.
You're not actually avoiding the task, you're avoiding how you think the task is going to make you feel. But when you actually start doing it, you realize that the dread of starting is much worse than doing most of the time.
You're not avoiding the task, you're avoiding how you think it's going to feel. And your brain is wrong almost every time. The dread is larger than the doing. At least that's what the research is showing, that's what the data shows. Not sometimes, but almost all the time. When you feel that resistance before something that matters to you, your brain is generating a threat signal that is disproportionate to the actual experience of doing the thing. It's a misfire, it's not a warning, at least in most instances. I'll link Olga's video below so you can watch the full video. It really is quite illuminating, including the practical steps that she covers in her video for interrupting the loop. So here's what I'd like you to walk away with. The dread of starting is almost always bigger than the doing. Your brain is misfiring, not warning you. And now that you know that, you get to choose differently.
That dreams dream big, and dreams do come true.
Dream big, take risks.
Time to take action.
If that landed for you, there's more to come, so please subscribe to Success Redefined. I'm Bella St. John. Bye.